Hello everyone. It's a real pleasure to be able to join you for this first fully virtual PTC. The PTC event is always one of the annual highlights on the busy calendars of the global digital community, and like many of you, I very much regret that we cannot meet together. But I'm also grateful that through the power of digital technology, we are able to continue our conversations at a time when promoting the vital importance of connectivity has never been more urgent. So let me take a moment to congratulate the PTC team for bringing this amazing event together so professionally in very challenging times. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Doreen Bogdan-Martin, and I serve as Director of the Telecommunications Development Bureau at the International Telecommunications Union, or ITU. ITU is the UN Agency for Digital Technologies. We are based in Geneva, Switzerland, and we have been at the heart of advances in communications for 155 years, from the earliest days of the telegraph to the invention of the telephone, communication satellites, mobile telephony, and most recently, the internet and the World Wide Web. When the PTC team approached me to speak at this event, I was delighted that they wanted me to focus on the role of digital in creating new realities based on online platforms and services, as well as on the role of digital in helping us confront the new realities that have been imposed upon us by unprecedented challenges that this past year has brought. The launch of the United Nations Secretary General's Roadmap for Digital Cooperation last June, combined with our need to forge some kind of new normal for the post-COVID world, have forced us to consider what it really means to be unconnected in this increasingly post-digital age. The world is still not sure when we're going to beat COVID-19, but at long last, one thing I think the whole world is now sure about is the vital importance of connectivity. For those of us joining this session today, digital technologies has been helping us ensure that our lives continue as normally as possible during this crisis. It's helping us work, stay in touch with loved ones, it's keeping us entertained, enabling us to acquire the goods that we need online, and allowing our children to continue learning in the face of widespread classroom closures. Put simply, none of us participating in this conference could manage our lives without the internet. So I'd like to pause for just one moment and remember that we are the very lucky few. Right now, every second person on the planet has never ever accessed the internet. These 3.7 billion have no choice but to struggle to find ways to survive without the vital lifeline that digital technologies offer. Ladies and gentlemen, sometimes it takes a crisis like COVID to remind us how profoundly transformational an internet connection can be. The UN Sustainable Development Goals and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development were forged on the conviction that all people must enjoy equal access to the same opportunities. When the world signed up to this agenda, our pledge was simple: leave no one behind. And COVID has shown us, in no uncertain terms, that in today's world, leaving no one behind means leaving no one offline. There is no doubt in my mind that universal digital connectivity is the vital catalyst we so urgently need to dramatically accelerate progress towards the 17 SDGs. At ITU, we're working on many different fronts in countries all around the world to help extend digital access to unconnected communities. Getting equipment in is important, but it's not just about the infrastructure. We also need to ensure networks and services are physically available, are financially affordable, and are accessible and actionable by the people who need them. For tech developers, that means designing and developing services and platforms that meet the specific needs of their target demographics. For example, prioritizing voice interfaces, local languages, and icon-based navigation if literacy is an issue. For ITU, it means helping governments assess infrastructure needs. It means working with regulators to forge enabling environments that stimulate uptake while keeping prices down. It means helping them develop sustainable digital innovation ecosystems so that they can navigate technological changes. It means a lot of work to promote digital inclusion so that people are empowered to take advantage of new services and platforms as they become available. I spoke of our need to forge a new normal for our post-COVID world. For me, that new normal means broadband access for all. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres urges us to use the COVID crisis to build back better. I want to go one step further and urge us to build back better with broadband. COVID-19 is a wake-up call about why we need to dramatically accelerate efforts to bring unconnected people and communities online. Because we will never leverage that truly transformational network effect until everyone is connected. Can digital technology really help us achieve our goal of global equality? I very much believe that it can. To convince you, I want to show you a few short examples of digital applications linked to the 17 SDGs. Let's begin with agriculture. Until quite recently, this was one SDG that struggled to find meaningful digital applications. But that's now changing fast, with clever apps for smartphones and IoT-based services that use low-cost environmental sensors to regulate parameters like water use. At one of ITU's AI for Good summits, I was chatting with David Hughes, a Penn State University scientist working with the UN Food and Agriculture Organization. He's been developing a new digital application to help African farmers combat pests that threaten crops and food security. Let's take a look at their work.
Cassava is a really important crop. It provides for over 500 million Africans every day.
Cassava is a good source of nutrients. It can withstand harsh conditions, and because of that, a lot of people are farming it. There are several diseases that affect cassava, and they make the roots unedible.
And these diseases are reducing the cassava crops by between 40 and 100%. So we're trying to use machine learning to respond to those diseases.
The app that we've designed can diagnose multiple diseases. You wave your phone over a specific leaf, and if it has a symptom, a box will pop up saying you have this problem. When you get a diagnosis, you learn about the best management practices. We're in a very rural location. People don't have access to internet, and TensorFlow is the only platform out there that can allow us to build these advanced models but deploy them onto a phone.
Because out in the field, we need to give the farmers the access to the information immediately.
So with AI tools and machine learning, you can grow more crops, you can protect them, and you can have a much more reliable source of food.
AI offers the prospect to fundamentally transform the life of hundreds of millions of farms around the world.
You can see a product that can actually make someone's life better. This is kind of revolutionary.
Isn't that an inspiring use of AI for good? One of the great things about this app is that it works in local languages through a voice interface. You don't need to know how to use a computer. You don't even need to know English. You don't even need to know how to read and write. Anyone with access to a smartphone can use it. This is a really compelling example of what it means to bring meaningful connectivity to the people who can benefit most. What about the use of tech in two of the classic frontiers of global development, health and education? Let's start with health. We know that tech is increasingly being used for diagnosis in rich countries. Can it help in poorer countries too? Sure it can. One great example is ITU's Be Healthy, Be Mobile partnership with the World Health Organization. This initiative uses ordinary 2G mobile phones to deliver health information and reminders about vaccinations, screenings, and more. It's already dramatically changing health outcomes in 11 countries, and in the wake of the COVID crisis, ITU and WHO have been leveraging the Be Healthy, Be Mobile program to send text messages with COVID health and safety advice to communities throughout Africa. But the video I want to show you now is about another aspect of healthcare that's often overlooked. That is the cost. Let's take a look at an innovative use of technology that blends both digital financial inclusion and mobile health.
In Kenya, mobile phone access has reached almost 90% and higher. And we thought the best way to gain access for medical care would be through that device.
Hapo nyuma kabla sijajua mtiba, nilikuwa naenda kwa hospitali nikitumia cash. Na sometime nilikuwa naweza kopa pesa ama familia inaweza konjeka bila mtu.
M-Tiba is basically M for mobile. Tiba is treatment in Swahili, so it's mobile treatment. We came up as partners and thought, what is it that we can do to take advantage of the digital agenda, to take advantage of the fact that Kenya has been on an upward trend in mobile phone penetration.
Kuna wakati mke wangu alikuwa mgonjwa, nikampeleka hospitali, kuna clinic ya Olive Link.
We have almost 600 hospitals who are working with us in a network across the country providing healthcare services.
Na si watu wenye tuko na mapato ya chini. Wakati unapata pesa kidogo, unaweza save 10 bob. Hiyo unajua umeshaweka akiba ya matibabu baadaye.
This is a major success for us in terms of using mobile phones for financial services and mobile money. I think health is the next big beneficiary.
The M-Tiba project is another great example of what we mean by meaningful connectivity. That is, services that offer real value to local people, homegrown to meet local needs and local platforms. What about education? Can tech play a meaningful role in the developing world? Let me say right at the outset that we know that computers can never replace teachers. But we also know that the internet is the most amazing, most accessible library that was ever conceived. Connecting students and teachers to this wealth of information in languages they can understand could be the most powerful engine of transformation the world has ever seen. And having a broadband internet connection would mean that no child need ever again lose access to schooling, even in the midst of a pandemic like the one we're living through. That's why ITU is partnering with UNICEF and others to lead a global project to connect every school in the world and every young person to information, opportunity, and choice. The Giga project is ambitious, but just look at the demographics. For me, these figures show us that linking young people to the power of digital technologies will be absolutely vital to achieving the development outcomes we want. The Giga project tackles the problem of basic education. But what if we try to apply digital technologies to transform an entire community? Let's look now at an example of a new project that takes a holistic approach to digital, with the aim of transforming the lives of people and one of the poorest nations on Earth. The Niger 2.0 Smart Villages project uses low-cost VSAT technology to connect 2 villages, east and west of the capital of Niamey. A local Wi-Fi hotspot links to a microserver charged with locally appropriate Wikipedia information, which is regularly updated. Innovative apps have been mounted on tablets as plug-and-play solutions and handed out to local people to introduce and support digital education, digital health, and digital agriculture. Local health workers use the tablets for telemedicine and e-health services, and teachers use them in the classroom, where access to printed learning resources is extremely limited. Community information is being made available via an innovative talking book device, loaded with pre-recorded information available at the tap of a finger. And taking advantage of the country's rising mobile penetration, half of Niger's population now has a 2G or better mobile phone. The project uses SMS alerts and voice messages to inform farmers about agricultural best practices related to crops and livestock, as well as current local market prices for their produce. Let's take a look at what this innovative and ambitious project might mean for local people.
The Niger 2.0 Smart Village project has set out to significantly improve the lives of people in rural Niger, achieving clear milestones in meeting sustainable development goals. Key Nigerian government agencies, such as the Ministry of Health, Education and Agriculture, have coordinated efforts in a so-called whole-of-government approach to achieve the long-term goals of the Smart Village project. The National Agency for the Information Society, ANSI, is at the forefront. UN agencies, such as the World Health Organization, the Food and Agriculture Organization, UNESCO, and the International Telecommunication Union, under the One UN umbrella, along with NGOs, such as the Digital Impact Alliance, Université Numérique Francophone Mondiale, and Terre des Hommes, are assisting with their expertise and providing both hardware and digital applications. Innovative apps mounted on tablets as plug-and-play solutions have been prepared for distribution in rural communities to introduce and support e-education, e-health, and e-agriculture.
ITU's Smart Villages project with Niger is a really inspiring example of the transformational power of digital at the grassroots level. But ITU's research shows that even within communities, ensuring everyone gets access to digital opportunities means really zooming in on the needs of traditionally marginalized groups, like the elderly, persons with disabilities, and of course, girls and women. Globally, we are far from gender parity when it comes to access to digital technologies. On average worldwide, 48% of women have internet access compared to 55% of men. More men have online access than women in over 70% of countries. And tragically, this digital gender divide is most pronounced in the world's least developed countries, where technology could be its most powerful, but where only 1 in every 7 women is using the internet. ITU's actions to remedy this imbalance include large multi-stakeholder coalitions, like the Equals Global Partnership for Gender Equality in the Digital Age. Joint action programs like our work with our UN sister agencies, UN Women, UNICEF, and others on generation equality, the tech workshops and coding camps that we run with regional partners as part of our Girls Can Code program, and our annual Girls in ICT Day, a global event founded back in 2010, which is now celebrated in over 170 countries around the world every year. Girls in ICT Day is a way for countries, companies, and NGOs to throw a spotlight on the many exciting opportunities on offer in the ICT sector. To date, we've reached almost 400,000 girls and young women through 11,000 events held all around the world. The Equals Global Partnership, meanwhile, strives to bridge the digital gender divide by targeting 3 problem areas: women's access, women's digital skills, and women's digital leadership opportunities. ITU just hosted another amazing edition of our annual Equals in Tech Awards, where we recognize and celebrate some of the pioneering individuals and organizations breaking down barriers for women and girls in areas like digital skills development and digital entrepreneurship opportunities. Let's take a quick look at one of this year's inspiring winners, which is empowering girls and young women in Cambodia, one of the world's least developed countries, to become an active member of the digital economy.
As we know, 50% of total population in Cambodia is female, but only 7% of girls choose to study technology. Why? Because girls are often told that technology is for boys. Many girls do not know where can they learn technology. Often, they are not supported to study technology. That is what Sister of Code wants to change. Sister of Code is the first female coding club in Cambodia for girls from 10 to 20 years old. Give opportunities for girls, help to learn important skills and grow confident. Girls can become active members of digital society. Sister of Code started in 2019. Sister of Code is a club where female teachers are teaching female students. More than 150 students have participated so far in the 18 weeks innovative program to learn visual coding, game development, web development with HTML and CSS. Sister of Code is not only an educational program, it is also growing together and building the future.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've looked at the powerful transformational effect that digital technologies can have on poor communities. But what about the power of technology to change the life of an individual? To make this final point, I want to introduce you to a very special person, Joanne O'Riordan. Joanne was born without arms and legs. Nobody knows what caused her very rare condition, but this brave and inspiring young woman has not let her disability stand in her way. Instead, she has embraced technology to empower her and follow her dreams. Joanne came to speak to us at ITU's first International Girls in ICT Day event in New York in 2012. Since then, she has become a famous motivational speaker. She's won awards for her advocacy on behalf of persons with disabilities. She serves as a consultant to the Irish government and international panels on disability policy, and she's earned a degree in criminology from University College Cork, and she writes regular sports columns for the prestigious Irish Times newspaper.
Born with a rare medical disability known as total amelia, Joanne O'Riordan is one out of 7 people in the last 18 years faced with living a life without limbs. However, her extremely rare condition didn't stop her from carving a future that was both socially inclusive and educationally rewarding. O'Riordan was first introduced to the media at a very young age when she openly challenged the Irish government on proposed budget cuts, which would affect those living with disabilities. Due to her strong response, the proposed cut was reversed, and as a result, O'Riordan became a national symbol of hope and a global voice for the disabled. On her 16th birthday, she delivered a landmark speech at the United Nations to the world's leading women in technology on how technology positively transformed her life by allowing her to live independently.
As you could see, I was born without my limbs, but my motto in life is no limbs, no limits. I use technology in all aspects of my life. All my young life, I've struggled and overcome barriers.
Passionate about technology, O'Riordan is furthering her impact by collaborating with Trinity College in Dublin to design Robbie the Robot, which will allow people with disabilities to live a comfortable and independent life. Although the project is in its early stages, she is confident that with the time and funding, her dream will become a reality. O'Riordan has become an ambassador for all people living with disabilities. Whether through a TEDx talk, serving on the Irish government's Advisory Council for Young People, or teaming up with technology companies, O'Riordan shares her story and actively harnesses the power of technology to successfully advocate for a better quality of life for those living with disabilities.
Ongoing advances in robotics and AI will continue to dramatically improve the life of Joanne and the lives of millions of others around the world living with a disability. This is an area where the human side of digital is at its most visible and its most valuable. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope these few short videos have convinced you of the powerful transformational effect that new and emerging digital technologies could have on our efforts to achieve global equality. In an age of unprecedented technological innovation, we live in a world where many billions are still denied the basic opportunity to connect. These people are increasingly isolated from a world that is evolving without the benefit of their participation and their unique contribution. And we are all of us much the poorer for their absence. I truly believe that technology is the most powerful tool humanity has ever had to break down barriers and bring us closer together. Our task is to change this picture so that this becomes this. Because only when everyone is connected to the power of digital can we be truly sure of fulfilling that vision to leave no one behind. Thank you very much.